In this video, I'm going to start implementing the RPCs of the high-score backend microservice. So right now we have already written the proto file for the high-score microservice, and we have generated the code which is required. So now I'm going to save it to GitHub. So just wrote a commit message and did the git commit. Now I'm going to create a new repository, I'm calling it M APIs, same as the name I gave here. Then I'm going to push an existing repository from the command line using these two commands. Okay, and if I refresh it, then I have my file here. Okay, so now I have stored these information online on GitHub. Now I'm in a position I can download it or import it from there directly whenever I want. So next I'm going to actually create this high score microservice. So I have created this folder called M high score, and under this folder I'm going to write the logic for the high score microservice. So I'm going to create a folder named internal, and in Go everything you write under internal folder is basically you cannot import it from any other repository. So if there is any logic which is specifically to this microservice, then I would ideally just put it under internal folder. Then create another subfolder named server gRPC, and I'm going to create a file called grpc.go. So this file will take care of all the gRPC related stuff, which is the connection related issues of gRPC and the implementation of the RPCs. Call it package gRPC. So I'm going to import basically the proto file and the PB file which I just generated. So its address is github.com/famous/m APIs. So this is the address which has my proto file and the PB file. So I'm simply just calling it PB high score so that I can simply call the functions through this name. So we know that in the PB file we have this game server interface, and which expects the implementation of these two functions. So what I'm going to do is create a struct which will implement these two functions. So I'm going to create a struct named gRPC, let's say, and inside this struct I have address, which is a string. So this is basically the address on which this gRPC server will listen on, which means you can use this address to connect to this gRPC service. Then I'm going to import the Golangs gRPC package. So So this is the server which will be required to set up the gRPC connection, and I'm putting this inside this struct. So now that I have defined the struct, I'm going to actually start implementing the RPCs. So what RPCs we're expecting? Okay, this set high score and get high score. So I can simply copy paste its structure, and because I want this gRPC struct to implement this, I have to write in this format. And this has a context and an input, which is a set high score request of PB high score. So it has to be like this, and this returns a set high score response and an error. So why error is that it may not always be able to set the high score. So in that case, it should return an error. And yeah, have to import context as well. What else? No, that should be fine. And I'm going to define a global variable, let's say high score, which has a very high value, let's say, to begin with. So now, once this is called, I should log that this is called, and then try to set the value here. So I'm going to use zero log for logging purposes. So github.com/rs/zero log. So now I will be able to log. Log.info.message. This is a typical way to log things in using zero log. So I can write something like set high score in high score is called, and what I have to do here, I have to simply assign this high score with whatever input I get. So high score is equal to input dot high score, and because this assignment is complete, I can now return the response. And it returns a set high score response, which expects this set value. And because it was successful, I'm going to write set is equal to true, and also it returns an error here. So the error is nil because it successfully returned. It was successful in setting this high score. So this is how I have implemented the one of the RPCs. Similar things I can do for the get high score method as well. So for that, I'm just going to copy this code. So instead of set, this is going to get high score request, get high score response. Get high score is called, and you don't need to assign anything here. So you just have to return the high score, which is high score, and the error is nil because you will be successfully able to return. In case it was a more complicated system where you would need to do some computations in the backend, in that case that computation may not always be successful, and in those cases you need to actually return the error. And because this is a small and simple example, it is fine if you just return nil for now. So this is how you usually implement um, an RPC of a microservice. So now we have a struct called gRPC, which implements these two functions of this game server interface. And now it is ready to actually serve, which means uh, it can we can actually start the server in such a way that it can listen on a particular address.